Welcome to Why Don't We Dress for Dinner Anymore with our host, Theodora Krochman, senior style icon.
And Melissa Pierce, natural redhead and techie consultant and jack of all trades. What can I tell you?
True, Jill.
Today I'd like to introduce our guest, Casscellina. Casscellina is a Chicago-based director and producer who's also involved in styling many of the looks in her shows. Cassie loves finding Chicago's hidden talent and interesting faces for numerous projects. This is just the tip of the iceberg, so let's dig in to find more out about our dynamo guest today. Welcome to our show, Cassie.
Oh, thank you both so much for having me. I'm very excited.
We're excited to have you too, and I'm really excited to talk about a project that I was actually part of as well.
Yes.
Tell us about, Cassie has an event coming up by Antics Art Fest.
Mm-hmm.
So just tell our listeners a little bit about what we can expect from Antics Art Fest and tell everybody the information and all the good stuff about the show.
Yeah,
Sure.
I can't wait to hear about this because I was traveling the whole time you two were doing any of this.
Oh,
Yes.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. Well, I'd love to, first of all, invite you both formally to the shows.
Thank
of
you.
course.
Thank you.
It's our fourth year coming back to Chicago with this annual art show that we do. In years prior, we've had 2 days of events. We've had up to 8 artists in a day, over 100 looks some years.
Wow.
This year, you can expect one night full of 70 plus original looks by 5 different designers.
Who are the designers, can you tell us?
Yeah, of course. We actually just dropped the designer lineup at Antics Art Show on Instagram. We have our first returning designer, whose name is Alyssa Wright, Rocky the Shop. She closed season 1 for us and is actually coming back for season 4. She came to the shows last year and was like, I know I said I wouldn't do this, but I need to do it again.
Yeah.
So she's coming back. We have a first-time designer, La Savant, who is Ina, amazing, incredibly talented. She was first in like recycling kind of like recycling old garments.
So she
into new
upcycles?
garments. Yeah.
Okay.
And now I just told her, you have such a knack for it. Just kind of go for it. And her first collection is coming along swimmingly well.
We can't wait to see this.
She has 16 looks.
Wow.
Yes. Super impressive.
Yeah.
And just incredible tailoring. We also have Joss Blake, who's our first international, European designer.
Oh, where's he from?
He's from Barcelona, is where he's coming from, but originally Seville, Spain. Sevilla. Yeah. So we are super excited to have Joss Blake. And then we have Life with Mal, who is like a streetwear, incredible powerhouse of a designer. She's about as tall as Teddy.
Also petite.
Yes, small but mighty. Yes, I always say that. And she just has an imagination like bigger than the world. So she's creating 20-ish looks this year. And then I'm trying to think. So that's Life of Mal, La Savant, Joss Blake. Oh, our last designer is Intake. The brand is by Adrian Villada, who is kind of the most new artist that we have coming to the shows. Gonna do 9 looks. And like I said, totaling over 70.
Wow, that's going to be fabulous. So tell us how the event is going to be set up. What can our listeners expect if they attend Antics Art Fest, which is going to be, can you give us the date?
September 27th.
And what time does it start?
And where's the venue?
The venue is so exciting this year. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit, but I have a really big passion for film, as Teddy knows. And I was kind of looking all around different spaces to find like a good place to project this film that we've been creating for Antics. And the film is an original screenplay by Luke Hans, who Teddy got to meet.
Yes, he was the director as well.
Yes, Act 4. And we'll play that in between the shows. So this projection aspect was really important. And I just needed this huge wall. And we found a cyclorama wall, a cyc wall that's 80 feet wide and 30 feet tall at Chicago Studio City, which is one of Chicago's oldest movie production studios. Yeah.
Isn't that where we filmed it?
That is where we filmed it, which is very interesting.
80 feet tall. I don't want to see myself 80 feet tall.
Like,
Wait a minute.
to that,
Wait. Isn't that where we filmed it? I don't want to see myself 80 feet tall. You were in a film.
Yes.
While I was traveling,
Yeah.
Teddy was in a film.
I told you.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah, we
Wait a
casted
minute.
Teddy. We have this opening scene of antics that it's scene 1, and we had these fashion elitists.
We didn't even have to get more than one episode
second.
to season 3 before Teddy snort laughed.
I love it.
Okay, so Teddy was in a film.
Teddy is going to be projected on the screen.
God help me.
Yes.
Wait,
I don't know what I was signing up for.
how tall is the screen again?
So it's 30 feet high and
Finally, Teddy.
50 feet wide.
Your dreams of being tall have come true.
But not that tall.
That's really tall.
This little this nasal hair tall. I'll be able to see up my nostrils.
All right, so
We've got only side shots and very flattering ones of Cruella, who is played by Teddy.
Teddy is the villain. Of course she is.
She's
Power.
kind of the lead of the fashion elitists. And this opening scene is basically about the unrealistic beauty standards of our industry. And, this model, Sol Adams, who's
Sol is great.
incredible. I think the next big supermodel to come out of Chicago,
She's
to be honest
fabulous.
with you.
Love Soul. Shout out to Soul.
She was holding this pose. And, we had this atelier casted actor kind of going around. It's just a little longer, just a little longer. And eventually you see the model collapse. And it's kind of all about how the fashion elitists, they want to redo the human form.
Yes.
And so then through act 2 of the film, you see this mad scientist and his trusty sidekick reinventing the human form. And then it's kind of a play on Frankenstein, Young Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, but meets Rocky Horror.
Right.
And
It's
then
campy, kind of
very
campy.
very campy. And then at the end, they present this new and improved human form.
Wow.
And
Wait till you see that.
we see how that goes live. And actually, I don't even know how it ends because I had to leave. So it will be a surprise for me, which I'm really excited to.
This actually sounds like a delightful event.
Oh, yeah.
This year we've focused on the experience for the person sitting in the seat. Because I think in prior years I had to focus so much on logistics and production and all the moving parts that year 4 I kind of know all of those moving parts. I know my vendors, and now it's really about focusing on the human experience. And I think that was another reason why Chicago Studio City really spoke to me, because how often in your life do you get to watch a film in the place that it was made?
Yeah.
Not very often,
Right.
And then we'll be recording that. So it's a movie inside of a movie inside of a
It's a fabulous concept. It really is. Right. And everybody that worked on that set was highly professional.
Yeah.
Great people. Everybody was really into it,
100%.
It was a fun experience. Tiring for a 71-year-old woman.
Long days.
It felt like she was, going to collapse. But it was fun. It was really fun. The makeup artist, spectacular. Hair, spectacular. Cassie, styling, over the top.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
You looked great.
I mean, it was an experience and a half.
Right.
And then I'm just going to give something away. So there's one part in the movie where I have to say a line, and I'm holding this long cigarette holder that Cassie puts leather gloves on me that I cannot manipulate my hands. And they're saying, well, hold the cigarette holder like this. I can barely hold it. They've got an herbal cigarette in there. Well, suck on it, Teddy, because we need an ash. So I'm going I get cock-a-mouth from the cigarette. I get a big ash. And at the end, I have to raise one eyebrow.
Yes.
And flick my cigarette. Once in a while it would flick, and other times it wouldn't flick.
Or one eyebrow would go, but not the other.
Or both would
go.
Sometimes it would go. So, if I really concentrate, I can do it. But other times I would get nervous and I'd be going like this.
Doing it. We had to capture it. We got it.
Cassie had to come up to me. She goes, Teddy, do the one eyebrow. And I'm like a dog.
And those behind the scenes moments are just they really do help you build this family. And so how Teddy said, everyone was so into it. All the departments, all of the actors, like you just put them into this world and they just soaked it up.
Everybody went with it.
That's what we wanted.
Everybody really got into character. I mean, even to the point where when we were offset and we're just chatting or whatever, everybody was kind of posing and doing and being part of their character. I mean, it was just really fun.
So, Teddy, are you going to get headshots now? And on the back, it's going to be like gray at the one eyebrow raise on command?
That's my talent, raising one eyebrow.
That's your talent, yeah.
You can call me Unibrow Teddy.
So, Cass, you wear a lot of hats: director, producer, stylist. How did you become involved in these three things? Like, director, producer, I get those together, but then stylist as well.
Yeah.
Where did this get in?
It's so much of my childhood has really shaped me, and I grew up in a gymnastics environment, and I remember like our favorite days were when we got to talk about leotards and competition. Yeah. And, if we were getting sparkles or what were we getting this year. Yeah. And I believe we switched our leotards every 2 years. If we really liked one, we would keep it for a couple more years. But I remember at that young of the age, which was probably 6 or 7. I mean, I was just infatuated with costumes. And then, that led into dance. And then dance, I was head of costumes. And then it just really evolved, I think, growing up around movies and like television and film, because that's basically what my father's side does. And then with a mom as a hairstylist, it's like, you naturally gravitate to costumes, hair, and makeup rooms on movie sets. So then even as a child, I was, some kids run through department stores. I was running through like trailers of clothes and, just seeing people get dressed at a very young age, it impacted me in ways that I love building a character. And the more that you dress someone, as Teddy said, you see them become that character, and then they just can't get out of it. And it's just really fun to build those kinds of worlds. So I prefer to do it through costumes.
It's interesting because a lot of people, when we ask them how they became interested in fashion, whether they're a model, a stylist, photographer, whatever, it always almost seems to stem from their childhood. Everybody has fond memories of either they loved costumes, they loved dressing up, they had a parent who was dressing all the time. Remember, Ray would talk about both of his parents in the 70s.
Ray sent me so many pictures of his extended family in the 70s. It was enduring. Yes.
So that seems to be a common theme, with our guests. Yeah. That the love of fashion seems to come from early childhood memories.
I do want to point out that event production fits so well with gymnastics and dance, because the routines of gymnastics and the routine of dance, like learning that routine and thinking about the costumes and performing the routine, I was like, of course.
That's what helped me, really.
Production,
And I think when you also have this kind of capability to visualize things before they happen in real life, it's really important. So like as a gymnast, I would visualize a skill and see it in my head and then try it on the balance, being very terrifying.
Oh, were you beam? I was also beam.
Very terrifying to take that leap from a line on the floor to beam that's 4 feet high, and so I was taking leaps at a very young age, trying things that I wanted to kind of test myself, and I respect people's boundaries, but I definitely test my own. And I think that's kind of where Antics especially came from, is pushing that human boundary each year to kind of gain another step, and then you pull other people up with you, once you get up there. So then you're lifting. It's a community lift, really.
Yeah.
Wow. Wait a minute. So are you visualizing your show? Are you visualizing these 70 looks, the the video playing, are you previewing this hours-long performance in your head? How is it going? How is the audience reacting? Are you doing this like you are a gymnastics routine?
Typically, yes, because, we have like decks full of costumes and the designer's collections with the models' faces next to it. But the decks get really extensive. So we have down to the shoe, down to the hair, down to the makeup. What's that going to look like? And then we share that with the camera department. And now camera knows what's going on. And then it's about the angles of the cameras and how many different angles can you really capture the show and the clothes. Because runway is such an intimate experience that a lot of people, depending upon where you're sat at, you have a completely different experience at the show.
Oh, absolutely.
So I try to capture that, and then we talk through sound and lighting cues going along with that. So it's like a lot of departments working at once, and you definitely have to organize it in your head.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's an incredible amount of work and artistry.
So much work.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
It is so much work.
How many people would you say you're expecting to come to this event? Do you have any kind of a head count in your mind?
Yeah, every year we have over 400 or so guests. And then, guest list, it's like they try to say to keep guest list to 10% of your expected guests.
Yeah.
But mine's always usually over 40 in that case.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of those people do go front row, and it's kind of about recognizing the value that they bring to that seat. As well as we have 70 plus models, and then we have probably a crew of another 30. So I probably manage around 700 bodies and responsible for 700 or so people that day. And I try to know everyone. I mean, I know every single model's name. I even know their waist size. So it's like I really, really do get fully infatuated with antics during the summer.
Well, it sounds like a fabulous event.
Thank you.
We want to make sure that all of our listeners get the information. So again, that's Antics Art Fest. It's going to be Saturday, September 27th. It starts, I believe, at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll pick up VIP and shuttle buses around 8 and get them to the venue.
Okay.
We have a GA ticket. You can bring yourself.
Okay.
And then we'll have the showtime around 9 and get people back to the after party with Home Hospitality.
Okay.
Shortly after that, they own like Beatnik on the river, Montpelier, Bordel. They have beautiful
I just went to
spaces.
Mama Celia's.
Yeah,
fabulous.
They have beautiful spaces.
Yeah.
So we'll do a full night, but the time at the movie production studio will probably be 3 to 4 hours or so. Trying to keep it at 3.
Yeah. Now, where can people get tickets for this showcase?
Great question, Teddy. AnticsArtFestival.com, or you can go to at Antics Art Show.
Okay.
ARTSHOW, and then Antics is spelled with an X, so it's ANTIX Art Show on Instagram.
Okay, we'll post that.
Yeah,
we will definitely post that down in the description so that you can hit the link for that as well too. So that should help you if you're not somewhere being able to take notes at this particular point. So we'll put both of those sites on our description so you guys can make sure to get tickets. We want to see all of you there. You're going to see the premiere of My Eyebrow.
Yeah, Teddy's big. Teddy's on the big screen, you guys.
That's a big deal.
Literally, I'm so excited.
If nothing else, if all of the lighting cues and cameras and where you're sitting and experience and the fact that she knows all of the models and their waist size and like everything and all of the designers.
It's a big deal. It's a big event.
Deal. It
It's
sounds
a big
like
event.
a great event.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I can't wait to have you guys.
Okay, but more about you.
Okay.
More about you.
More about Cassie.
Yes. All right, Teddy.
Cassie, I remember talking to you about this. I remember your last fashion show, I believe, that you were part of. You were showing models styled in 70s, 80s, and 90s clothes, correct?
We did 2000s and then like a futuristic kid too.
Okay. Those were all fabulous looks and everything.
Thank you.
Like that.
Thank
so
you.
based on that and your experience with all those eras of fashion, do you have a particular fashion era that you like the most, that really inspires you? Is there one?
It's so hard because I think that a lot of people go back for inspiration to the past, you know, and I do love vintage. I mean, I'm a sucker for vintage and the silhouettes. But I think what really inspires me is to observe what people are making now. And kind of, I think we've almost lost this sort of like identity these years in fashion because we're recreating so much. So I try to look at people who are maybe even recreating, but also are signature to like the time now we are living in. And I think that really inspires me because there are so many, you know, incredible designers that are very like futuristic, I would say, but really it's modern art.
Right.
So I'm a big fan of old and new. I am a 90s baby. I loved studying all the different eras, and I can't take all the credit for those looks. We had five stylists on that show. Amira, who's now in Paris working in fashion. Brandy Penelope, famous celebrity stylist. We had Prosper, who has had an incredible store congruent space for many years. Now it's online. It used to be this kind of like in real life experience. Yeah. We had Bara and then myself. Bara works at Ikram now, but is going back to Los Angeles. So we just had these really people with like years in the game or experience around them, making those looks come to real life. And I don't know if I love the 90s or if Bara just did so well, but I mean, that Gucci Tom Ford, I liked when things, the 80s were so crazy. And so
my God.
It was kind of
I rip up all the pictures of myself in the 80s.
It was interesting to see how at the end of the 80s, everyone was kind of like, oh, wait, we're switching in the 90s. And then by mid 90s, I mean, it was so sleek and it was just like,
it was like
very
anti-80s.
chic. It was very chic, and everything, you know, like not as much textured hair, not as much blush, like everything just got more minimal. And
sleek.
I think in the phase of my life that I'm in now, I like that minimalism, but still like stunning silhouettes, incredible fabrics. It's very rich. It still feels very rich.
Right.
But in my early 20s, you know, I'm living in the time of you in your 80s probably. The hair was out here, and you know, I was overdoing everything. So I probably wouldn't like the 90s look in my earliest 20s. But now I really enjoy that Tom Ford era. I mean, you saw Dior, you saw John Galliano start working, you know, with Madonna, and you even saw kind of Madonna like. I mean, she kind of created the 80s.
Madonna was it the 90s?
The cone bra was the 90s.
That was the 90s.
So there was still cool stuff happening. They just kind of learned how to hone it in more. And I like that sort of execution.
Yeah.
Really.
So you're kind of appreciative of all the eras and what was special in each of them, but you like to see what's new out there and being creative.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of my job, especially with the shows. It's like, who is new and really groundbreaking, and how do we give them a platform, you know? So I think that's what inspires me the most. Yeah, but if I could like own everything from Tom Ford, like Gucci era, you know, like
I died.
You know, Gucci.
I died.
Yeah, you know,
the
so
sleek
good.
suits, the velvet suits, the sleek silks, everything was very kind of sleek. The hair was straighter. Coming out of the 80s, I had a bad perm. When I look at
I need these photos.
Pictures they're hideous.
Yeah.
They're hideous.
Thank heaven the internet did not exist.
I don't know why I did that.
And maybe that's why people didn't care as much. But like you saw, you know, Vivienne Westwood, late 70s.
Vivienne Westwood, I love her.
Going punk, and like everyone said that the 80s was punk, but really the 70s
is when Vivienne started.
Yeah, and I think it just took a little bit to trickle over to America from the UK. So we were a little late, you know.
We were, because it was more 90s that you think of the punk kind of stuff, but it really started in the 70s with Vivienne Westwood.
Yeah.
That was big. In London, very big, the punk stuff.
So
Mohawks and all that kind of stuff. Remember Delphine told us in the 90s she had a a mohawk. One of our previous guests was a jewelry designer and friend.
Yeah.
She was very big into the, punk look and all that kind of stuff. But it's funny how it transferred, kind of it started in the 70s, but it really didn't pick up huge speed until the 90s. It seemed to be shown a little bit more. There was so much going on in the 70s. We couldn't keep track.
Yeah.
We went from, you went from kind of the hippies in the late 60s, translating a little bit into the 70s with our bell bottoms and our halter tops and all that kind of stuff. And then we started transitioning. I remember becoming more sophisticated with hems dropping. And then all of a sudden disco came in at the late 70s. So the 70s was a hugely layered era as far as
Amira did some incredible looks of the 70s and the 80s. So she recreated a Donna Summers look.
Yeah, Donna Summers, disco.
And I think we got like a balloon suit, but like with pants. So it's like, this balloon, it was those huge legs, just weird patterns. But we were like, we got to try to find it. And then I think that was the fun part of that show, was like going and finding the stuff. I called everyone I knew. I called Teddy. That's actually how we got introduced, because I became maybe, fascinated, maybe a little obsessed about executing it to a way that was true to the history of it. And I think this is one of my favorite things I took from what you told me.
What?
Was that, the social climate really reflected how the kids were dressing at that time. And so you come out of the 60s with the civil rights movement, and then you have the 70s with the hippies. And they're like, peace, no war. And then you see it in the wardrobe. And then you hear that punk come out of the 70s. And that was because they were going for gay rights and trans rights. And they were going for
establishment.
Right. And then you see this punk person come in. So I liked seeing that. It was really cool.
Yeah. It was very nice. The way we dressed in the 70s really was based on the political climate in many cases. I'm not sure where disco popped out from. Yeah. Maybe it was just, okay, we were dressing so real, let's like make it extra. I think
it was
the
the
late
music
70s was the disco, the music. And then I think that kind of flew into the 80s, and 80s just blew it up with the shoulder pads and the ultra glam makeup and the hair out to here. So they just
became more electronic too, because it went like, the music was related a lot, because the 70s, they had more instruments, they had more singing, the voice was an instrument, you had this kind of Soul Train thing going. But then by the 80s, you see people like using machines to create sounds.
Right.
And that's even very like anti.
So what's going on? The Moog synthesizer come on. You had all
electric violins. I used to love the electric violin.
So then people are like dressing
the theremin, which is such a big thing.
Yeah. What's that?
The theremin, where you use your hand to play the woo.
Cool.
Like I have several of these.
The vibration in your ear.
Cool. Yeah. So I think it was, more experimental, because they had to grow out of that 60s, 70s type of, bop music, more everyone was listening.
More space age.
Yeah.
Once space came into play, things got
futuristic and strange. And I feel like, maybe that's where we're at now again, is like people are kind of leaning into these like crazy fabric silhouettes and like, these like really like out there themes. And maybe that's what's inspiring the youth now, and why we see people dressing wild. I wrote down that the platform boot, it like came back in the 2020s. Everyone was wearing like platform boots and raving, and it was so funny because I had a lot of women come up to me and say, "I used to wear those."
In the 70s.
I have an 18-year-old daughter, and she said the weirdest thing, because it's something that kids in the 90s said when I was coming up. And she used the acronym PLUR with her friends.
Yeah.
What was that?
Peace, love, understanding, and respect.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
And respect.
PLUR.
It's a raving term on like how to treat people when you rave and like you're on drugs and having a great time. That's not very PLUR of you. It was something like you would throw around.
I didn't know that.
My daughter used the word PLUR, like the term PLUR.
You're like, what?
And I'm like, one, like I made fun of those kids. And two, like my kid's saying this in a very sincere way.
So the word came back.
So the word came back, but the fashion came back as well.
With it, yeah.
Because she's wearing stickers all over her face.
Yeah.
I know, it's
like
a
jewels
crazy
and
stuff now.
platform.
Yeah.
Adele's very sparkly.
Oh,
I love that. Love that. Love that for her.
Glowing child.
Yeah.
Adult, I guess adult now. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I love it all. It's really hard for me. There's good things about it all.
Yeah.
I think, probably the 80s, the hair and the makeup was a little bit much for me, but I would be applying the blush and, teasing my hair to the nines. So I can't hate on it. I love it still.
I was all in. That was middle school for me. I was 100% teasing my hair, wearing the longest earrings, all day glow colors, all that.
I was in the 80s. I was in my late 20s, early, the end of the 80s was my mid 30s. So I went for it. I was all Dynasty,
all Dynasty, all the shoulder
all
pads.
Dynasty all the time. The shoulder pads, the hair, the too much makeup, the lips, it was like, I look at it now and it's like, what the hell was I thinking?
Oh my God. My mom was in, I think she was getting out of beauty school and had been in hair for 5 or 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
And I even told her, I look at those photos and I'm like, what were you thinking? And she's like, this was what all of the cool people were doing.
Right.
Like, if you were cool or had a sense of fashion, this is what you were doing.
This is what you were doing.
And Madonna was really cool. So she's had me just
million bracelets.
huge respect for her, And Madonna was cool because she was rebellious the same way she's singing songs like A Virgin and she's dressed scantily and has this chastity belt on. I love that performative aspect of clothes and dressing.
I love that the younger people love the things that my generation did.
Right.
Yeah, because Madonna is only literally 3 years younger than I am. Cyndi Lauper is my exact age.
Wow. Yeah.
It's interesting how all these female rock people, they had such an influence on fashion, and it's really fun to hear that younger people are still admiring
music.
that.
My daughter is listening to Madonna's new albums.
Yeah.
Really?
We were in the car, and I'm like, this sounds like Madonna.
Yeah.
And Adele's like, oh, it is. And I was like, what? I've never heard this song.
she's
She was
a
like,
few
oh,
years
this is new.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's just culture orientated. I think if you have some sort of for music, you probably have an appreciation for fashion and for art. And I think it really is there's so much synchronicity between it all. But yeah, I do wonder what is driving people these days.
Well, that's the question. Why don't we dress for dinner anymore?
Yeah, I wanted to bring it back because you were talking about the creativity of the way people are dressing, and I'm thinking,
But what are people doing now?
Designers are more so doing this crazy stuff, and we see celebrities dressed up in that.
Designers doing crazy stuff. We see celebrities dressed up. We see the fashion industry dressing up, but we don't see it.
The general
trickling
From the
into
general population.
It's not like the 80s where the general population was dressed up. The general population is not dressed up.
What do you think it is?
Why do you think that is?
Well, I actually asked this to my Instagram, and I was like, what's going on, guys? And I got a lot of good responses about it, but I think there's a couple things going on. I think that dressing for dinner is coming back, ladies, so do not fret.
I keep trying
the
my
news.
best.
Yeah, the news is saying on runway we're seeing more furs and we're seeing luxury, and we're really seeing that come back to play, at least on runway, which is good because things got so minimal, and then they almost silhouettes and all of this kind of went out the window, But it seems like the rich kind of fabrics are coming back, which is good news. We're going less logos, less monogram stuff. You're really seeing that kind of come out of what people are presenting. But also this two words, recession core, was coming up a lot.
Yes.
And I didn't really know what that meant, really. And so the best way I can explain it is with recession core, girls and I guess guys are kind of stripping down the aesthetic, so then it's easier to maintain, it's like easier to afford, or like they just literally cannot afford it.
Yeah.
And so I was watching Instagram, and someone was even promoting, you know, I think tape instead of Botox, like Korean tape instead of Botox. And so we're kind of going back to natural. Like Pam Anderson's great example.
Oh, I love.
You know, we're taking all the filler out. Goldie Hawn did it. We're taking that.
Yes, that stiffness in the face.
And we're kind of just going back to like our natural selves.
I love hearing this.
Which is cool, you know. It's just how do we elevate it, you know, and maybe that just comes with a little bit of education and
Taking
kind
care
of
yourself.
showing people, hey, you know, there's already so many clothes out there made, like you can go get something for pretty cheap and, you know, hire someone local to maybe take it in for you or change the hemline, make it customizable to yourself, supporting local art. But yeah, I mean, I even wanted to order a couple of bikinis from Australia, and right now the tariff to get it into the state was more than the bikinis.
Really?
And I canceled my order. You know, I'm not going to lie. So I think there's a couple things going on, but hopefully we're getting to the point now where, and it's also hard because the social climate and fashion, it's kind of hard to think of how they're present nowadays. But I think we're seeing that in gender identity and gender fluidity, and like that is cool. You know, that is something that we see more of now, I think, openly, and just people dressing as themselves and how they want to dress, which is good. But yeah, everyone needs a little bit of help. I think a little push to just really put it on and go outside.
Oh, I think we need a segment on our show just called just a little zhuzh.
A little zhuzh. COVID, everyone was wearing sweats.
Yeah.
COVID, everyone was wearing
Yes,
sweats.
I think COVID was a bigger culprit.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't
you
the
know what?
only
I'm
reason.
still going to blame it on Kim Kardashian.
Why?
I'm going to blame it on
The
Kim
skims?
because Kim showed because her body demanded it. One, because you can't put normal clothes on a body like that. She just wore Lycra all of the time.
The hips need it, yeah.
And she just was such an icon, still an icon, self-made woman, incredible. But you see someone who is wearing that on national TV and has made it. You admire that. You emulate that because you. It's
But
like
are
the
they
best compliment.
But let me ask you this, Melissa.
No, is it-
Do you think they really are emulating Kim Kardashian? Because, I mean, she looked pretty damn good. I mean, if I saw people dressed like Kim Kardashian in athleisure wear the way she wears it, that would be one thing. But what I'm seeing, and I don't mean to chastise people.
I mean,
but what I'm seeing is sloppiness.
Oversized.
Not styled, no makeup,
I mean,
hair any old
there's
way,
like a whole
buns
trickle down, but certainly there was this.
The athleisure.
The athleisure came down. This like hidden. What was this hidden richness? I can't remember the actual term right now.
Oh, okay.
I lost it in my
hidden richness. I know what you're talking about.
Puzzle brain.
Luxury, though.
Right, luxury, but without the label. Right.
Yeah.
You know, it does trickle down that way.
Yeah.
The celebrities, you know, I think that's just such a good parallel you brought, because like I think now our celebrities really influence, and even before, I think before is more social climate, right? But now I think our celebrities influence a lot of fashion, you know, but our celebrities are so saturated, and we're seeing actually a lot of nepotism and a lot of nepo babies. So you're idolizing, you know, Bella Hadid, but Bella Hadid comes from Mossad, who's like one of the richest men in the world.
Mogul.
You know, and so it's like we would try to emulate those people, but we really can't, you know. So then I think the true fashion warriors figure out a way to do it. But you, like you said, you need a little zhuzh, you need a little push, and I think it could be intimidating. A lot of people also, when I professionally dress people and professionally style people, sorry, I touched the mic, costumes are different, because costumes, it's like, you know, I'm dressing you in this, we'll see what fits, and it's kind of, you know, you don't really have that autonomy, if you will. which has always been hard for me, is like taking away people's autonomy. I don't want them to think I'm overstepping, but it is my job. But when it comes to personal styling, it's so hard with some people because they don't know what they like. They don't know what they don't like. They don't even know their sizing. So they're kind of just guessing. And like you're kind of guessing too. And so it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of try-ons, you know. And you don't want to create someone's style for them.
Let me ask you this, because that's a question that's always kind of stuck in my mind. And basically it was because a friend of mine one time had asked me to style her, and I thought I was going to kill myself by the end of it. Because
so hard.
It was like, oh, Teddy, I love the way you dress. You have to take me shopping. So I took her shopping. Everything I gave her was, oh, this wouldn't look good on me. It looked good on you, but it wouldn't look good on me. Why? Try something a little different. You know, so when you're a stylist, because I was frustrated just even at that one episode that I had with a friend who ended up just buying a T-shirt at the end of the whole thing.
Right.
How do you as a stylist help people get out of what I noticed with my friend is, even though she wanted to get out of her rut of dressing, she really didn't. You know, she always fell back into what she felt comfortable for. So I picked something a little bit more new and, you know, exciting looking. And then she'd say, well, what about this? And I go, but that looks like, you know, 10 other pairs of pants that you
have.
So how do you kind of break people gently without hurting their feelings? Are you successful in getting them out of that mold? Or
It's just really...
Or maybe I hurt people's feelings
I
all
just
the
heard
time.
you say break people gently, and I just started thinking about my childhood and breaking horses. You're just riding some wild horses, just breaking
Break him. You know, and I think it is something that takes practice, and it does, you know, also take knowing your client and working on delivery. By no means when I first started this was I great. You know, I mean, I was just experimenting myself. I think also I've had the pleasure of working with artists mainly. So they're people who want to be perceived, you know, and they want to create an identity through fashion, you know, so I get to experiment a little bit more. But I would say for like the everyday consumer, right, what I try to do for them is to show them that there's an efficient way to dress that is still, you know, chic and of yourself. So I try to ask people, I try to explore their style in a way that's like, okay, well, what kind of books do you read? What kind of ways do you dress your house? What kind of things do you like that make it unique to yourself? And that has to go with like dressing the body or interior design their house. You know, sometimes I feel that men are a little bit harder because they maybe just don't really care about consuming and being on trend as much as women do.
They just don't.
They like comfortability, you know.
Right.
And it's like Adam Sandler has great style. I'm sorry, but he wears the basketball short and the oversized tee and a sports jacket over it and looks crazy.
Put together.
But it's him. It's very
put together.
It's very much what Adam Sandler wants to be. He's in line. He's not trying to be anyone else. So I think when you can kind of pitch fashion or textiles or costume wardrobe to people in that way, then they think, oh, okay, this is for me. This isn't for anyone else. And then they get a little bit more interested in it. Also, just like teaching people about fabrics, you know, cheap polyesters versus like, you know, man-made materials and how they'll feel different and how they'll last longer. And just kind of getting into like the really nitty-gritty with people, taking them out of the pressure. Is this pant gonna fit? Or, you know, does this silhouette make sense on my body? Yeah, but some people just don't want to be perceived as much. So
I do. I had this moment, and maybe I've had it on our show several times, and I forgot. There is this resistance to being perceived, especially now in the age of
people want
internet, because now everything is this you know, you're wrong or you're right, internet fight, right? And so when you're in the real, you don't want to be perceived, which is a lot of the schlubbiness. Please don't perceive me. Don't perceive me.
And people want to hide behind the internet, you know?
Which is
don't make the comments, like you said.
Right.
Yeah, your friend buying a T-shirt.
Yeah, she bought a T-shirt.
Buying a T-shirt because she wanted this, but also she didn't want to be
didn't.
perceived.
And this is the thing.
She didn't want to have a preference, because having a preference means she had to make a choice.
Yeah.
And she might be wrong.
Right.
And some people don't want to make the choice. You know, this is really the thing. Like, they don't want to have people talk about what they're wearing, or they may not want that attention about what they're wearing. But hey, why does that mean we can't find you the perfect white t-shirt?
Right.
You know, that's made from a local designer and hand dyed and not bleached, or, you know, there's so many ways to kind of get around that. And it's not just telling them, no, you have to try that. It's kind of coming up with solutions like, well, what about this?
Right. And I think, you know, in the case of men who aren't used to picking anything but for comfortability, it's that they don't even know to have a preference.
Right.
Right. It's, you know, have a preference. Get to make a choice.
My husband's preference is just pick up whatever he threw on the floor from the day before and put it back on.
Right. You know, when I
There's
was
his shorts.
Yeah.
There's his top. There's his cap. Goodbye, Ken. There it is.
Right. You know, I'm sure you ran into this as a therapist, because I know as a life coach, I ran into this when I did coaching, but a lot of my clients didn't have, not just dressing, but didn't have a preference for things. And it was like, I don't know how to make a choice. I'm paralyzed. I was like, well, just have a preference. If someone asks you to see a movie and you're like, well, whatever. No, have a preference. If you go for ice cream, have a preference. Not like get whatever. No, I love cookies and cream, or I love Rocky Road, because it helps you pick a path and go.
I think sometimes.
Or see what you don't like.
Yes.
You know, if you can at least tell me what you don't like,
Right.
we got somewhere to start. But
Right.
if you don't tell me, listen, I don't like cheetah print and I don't want to look like this.
Right.
Well, someone like me who does might put that in front of you and you might already be turned off. So I
don't like starched shirts.
It's really just, I think I always start by like, what are our no's? Like, where are no-goes? You know, women have these incredible bodies with all of these different curves and shapes, and sometimes they might like this part of their body and not like this part of their body. So I always ask that. Men, they don't really care too much about silhouette, but I will say they have very broad shoulders or very like more thick thighs. So men really care about that fit. How does it feel on them? I think my best job when it comes to personal styling is just showing people what fits on them. This fits on you. This does not fit on you. Let's take their oversized t-shirt and show them that the shoulder is out here. The shoulder is supposed to be right here, people. You know, it's supposed to be right here. And so people don't even know that. People don't even know that, you know, or, hey, if you like this pant, we can get it hemmed and it can fit you well. And so
that I think is key. You know, I can tell you, Cassie, because I'm a short, little person, you know, a lot of times I have challenges. Regular size clothes will absolutely fit me. But usually it's the pants that'll give me the problem, because skirt lengths can be any length. So it really doesn't matter. I mean, I fit in anything. But the pants are always a challenge. And I will tell you, you can take pants that you think, oh, these are too long, or they don't look good. You take them and you get the pants hemmed with the right shoes, because always wear the shoes that you're going to wear with them. Pants. And it changes the whole look.
And how much does that cost you?
Oh, well, it's getting more and more expensive, believe it or not.
Yeah.
There was one time when I used to pay $10 to have my pants hemmed. Now it's like $25 to get your pants hemmed.
Really? Okay.
I just took a dress the other day, beautiful long gown that I had in my closet, never wore it. She needed to redo the zipper because it needed to be taken in over here. And then she did the hem, $94.
Wow.
Was it a hidden zipper? Like,
It was a hidden zipper on the side, and he had lining, so it was like a double layer thing. So
but still.
Tailoring can be expensive, but like you said, Cassie, if you know a friend who's good at alteration,
I have an amazing. You have to just build that relationship with someone. Also, it's so many relationships. My person Kiki. Love her. Kiki's Cleaners in Addison, Illinois.
Oh, Addison, that's
off
not far
of Lake
from me.
Street. Go see Kiki.
Kiki.
She has been, her and her daughter have been taking care of me and my mother for years, and her prices have not raised on me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I have to check out Kiki.
You should check out Kiki's Cleaners. She's the best.
Is that what it's called? Kiki's?
Yes, and there's
Kiki's Cleaners in Addison. I'm checking it out.
Yes, she's this lovely Greek woman. She's next to this. Yeah, there you go.
Greek?
You would, she'd give you the good deal. She'd give you the good deal with perfect work. So, but I do agree. Things are getting expensive. I went to a leather cleaner and
it's ridiculous. It's
$300 for a couple.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So that in and of itself can be, because I used to preach, listen, you can take an inexpensive piece of clothing. If you have it altered to your body, it can look better than, a $400 dress that you buy in the store. I've done that many times where I've spent $30 or $40 on a dress. I've spent $90 to have it altered, so the whole price of the dress cost me $130, but it looks like a $500 dress.
Because tailoring makes off the rack look custom.
Yes,
That's why. And
So-
custom,
I'm writing that down.
I know. I come up with the best lines sometimes.
I got you.
But
it does make them so customizable, and it makes it I think you as the person wearing it just feels so much better because you're like, wow, it fits, and I feel confident in this. And you would be surprised what that does to a person. It really can change a whole person's attitude. I do believe in fashion renegades. I do believe in people who are now learning, I can take this apart and resew it myself. I've seen a lot of young scrappy people do that.
So much of that.
Yeah.
Even my oldest daughter is doing that now.
Yeah.
She's learned to alter her own clothes. She's just remaking everything.
That's how I started. I had a Hello Kitty sewing machine.
Oh.
My grandmother Joy showed me how to put this, how to do it. And I would make little things out of pieces of denim and stuff I didn't like and try to make it my own. Of course, trial and error was failing a lot, but it really, you can do a lot yourself these days. A safety pin, ladies.
Well, you know what I found? The wonders of
so
double
much.
stick tape.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
you get those outfits and you try to pin them and sometimes the pin shows or whatever. I got some double stick tape on Amazon for you get 1 million pieces of double stick tape for $7 or something like that. And you can take, in fact, I did it the other day when I was styling something, and you just take the tape, so it sticks on the side, it sticks, and just flap it over, and it looks seamless. It looks like it was, and you're not too exposed or whatever. So double stick tape, gang, is a really great thing.
Double stick tape and those silicone Chick-fil-A's. And,
I don't need that.
you get all of the things that go in your model bag.
Right.
Yeah,
There's so
all
many
the time.
hacks. There's so many hacks,
Yeah.
though.
So
I've
you gotta
learned a
learn
lot.
all that.
I've learned a lot. I love this deodorant sponge hack.
Oh yeah.
They have a deodorant sponge, and so you can get it for very cheap.
Really?
I really, really.
And what do you do with that?
You take off the deodorant stains, if you get it on your, if you get it on your shirt or your black dress or
It's
something.
like a magic eraser for clothes, but it doesn't have the chemicals
What's the
on
name of
it.
that again?
It's just like a deodorant sponge.
It's called
a deodorant sponge.
No show something.
Okay.
I've got a couple.
I don't know the name.
Just
I'm the
get
worst.
those, and I just wipe it off with some water usually, but still, you don't want to put water on some
it's just
materials.
those
It'll,
Yeah.
Well, let's just, before we wrap up with Cassie, there's one other question that I wanted to ask you that I saw it on Casscellina.com.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This woman is a dynamo already, and now she's doing this. I read where you have a TV project that you're working on, and it's about the mob.
Yes.
Can you please tell us about this, Cassie?
So this has been such a long life project, actually, that you're asking me about. And it is a series of syndicate tales that we, meaning me, my brother, and my mother, have actually all created and written together with the help of our friend Ken Zimmerman. Ken actually was the line editor, and it's over 300 pages.
Wow. Is it like a family saga or something?
So it is a family saga, and it actually surrounds this story of a career mobster. So he's a career criminal, and he's very handsome, motivated, wants to get out of this kind of poor lifestyle. 1920s Chicago it starts. And it spans over, 70 years. And it's this revolving story between this man and his daughter, actually, who has no idea that he's in the mafia. So he's living a double life, and he's really just trying to make it work. There's some heists, and then his daughter's kind of growing up during this time with a lot of perks, I guess you could say,
from the money
and benefits, but really never knowing what would happen. And she was battling all sorts of things, from childhood trauma to, addiction, eating disorders, divorce, being a child of divorce. Yeah. She had to deal with a new step family. I think there was 6 new siblings
in this story, and I don't want to give away too much of the plot because we want people to read the book.
Yeah.
But does she find out about the dad? Can you tell me or not?
The newspaper lets her know. The front page of the Chicago Sun-Times let her know. Actually, the story is based off of my mother.
What?
What? Yeah, so it's my mom and her father's story. And so the newspaper clipping came out when I was a child. I was too young to read, so I still didn't know. But the older that I got, the curiosity, it kept coming up. And she's like, you know what? I've been trying to write a book for so many years about all of this stuff. And we had so many, really just trusted sources and people telling us all of these stories. So me and my brother, we collected them all. Some are true, some are fabricated. And we wrote a book about it. And so it's a 3-piece saga. We're trying to make each 75,000 words each. Ooh. We'd love to, adapt into television. It's just great cinematic storytelling. And you can imagine some of the scenes are in Las Vegas, and some of them are at the racetrack, and some of them, you just get that old school Chicago, the pump room, the Drake,
The pump room, I remember.
Is there going to be room for a fashionable villainess?
Yes, I think we can have both of you. I think we can work both of you in.
Yeah.
So, my grandmother, she had fallen in love with, my grandpa, and they would do some things together. They would go to the store, and she would distract the clerk, and she'd put what she liked on the end of the rack. Mm-hmm. And so then he would go in and sweep the store, and he'd get her what she wanted.
Bad grandma.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny to just figure out all of these little heists.
What's fascinating to me is that you didn't grow up knowing.
No,
you were
not
kind
at
of
all.
told many years later.
Neither did my mom, and she was always told no questions asked. Like, if you don't want to know, you don't want to know, so don't ask, sort of thing. And my dad, her dad, did a really good job of protecting her from that whole lifestyle, because he just never wanted them to really be involved. Unfortunately, a lot of the syndicate at that time in Chicago, those guys, they did have kids, and they did get their children involved. Yeah. And you saw that's how we got a hold of Kent Zimmerman, because you saw that the Calabrese family, whose father was the biggest hitman for Chicago, he actually got his sons involved on it, not by choice. And they had to go and do a huge court case about this to plead their innocence, and kind of that they were just really, really abused. So thankfully my mom and, her family never faced that, but she has pretty funny stories. He would work with some thieves, and there was these thieves called the Mendel crew. And they would go around and they would rob jewelry stores, and the Chicago police would tip them off about where is a good place to rob, where the diamonds were, and stuff like that.
Wow.
And then
CPD.
Yeah. And then Val, who's the main character of the story, you see him working with these crews, buying the jewelry and selling it to the mobsters, tax-free. And so there's a scene in the book where it's my mom at her new house with the new mom and all the stepkids, and they're all taking out the jewelry from the necklaces are tied together and they're getting rings out and stuff like that. So he would have the kids separate the jewelry and stuff, but they had no idea.
They just thought it was jewelry that Dad brought.
They would get to keep some, so it was a crazy double life and super fascinating.
It is super fascinating. I know my husband would love this story. My husband's very into two topics. If you ever ask him what kind of movie to watch or what books he's reading, it's always World War II and the mob. So he's totally into that. He probably knows who the Mendel brothers is. I mean, he's like a mafia historian.
I mean, they ended up robbing Tony Accardo's house, who was
Tony Accardo,
lead mob boss of the time, and that did not end well for them. And so, you see kind of how they do strong arm you into the mafia, though. After the Vegas skimmings and everyone in casino got caught sort of thing, they needed someone in Chicago. And my grandfather had been dealing with a lot of the money and making sure that things had gone smooth. And so they trusted him, and he became the head of the West Side of Chicago.
Wow. Because they sectioned it off into territory.
So he was in charge of the West Side, and I had no idea, but a lot of people do know the last name. And
can you say the last name? What's the last name?
What? I'm so glad that she's not in the mob and can do fashion shows.
You don't know that she's not.
The last
don't talk to her in the wrong way.
The last name is Centracchio, but the book, and Tony Centracchio is my grandfather. He's an incredible man, incredible grandfather, like just such a great patriarch. But like I said, the story has its own fabrications, and because he died and a lot of these people are not alive, we did fill in the blanks in places. My brother Gino did an incredible job at that. He's the main author of the book. He's working on several other books, and he's studying religious studies now at University of Virginia. So he's very into spirituality, and I think that this was probably the most spiritual and humbling project I've ever gotten to do in my life.
Well, it sounds so fascinating. And do you have a title for the book, a working title and all?
So the working title was No Questions Asked. Okay. But we're switching the title around. Right now, we're going between Syndicate Tales and a couple other titles, but you can find all of the details on my...
Casscellina.
Yeah, on my website, Casscellina.com, which is Casscellina. And I'm really excited to get this out there. We're trying to figure out publishing routes. Maybe self-publish this one, but it's kind of hard because we do want that television aspect.
Well, I think, this sounds like a great Netflix deal to me. And like I told you, it's Sandy Silverman, one of our previous guests. She has a self-published book. And Netflix is actually picking it up as a series.
Really?
Yes. It's about her plastic surgery journey. Remember, Sandy was talking to us and the abusive husband she had. That's being picked up. Sandy Silverman.
Amazing. Hi, Sandy.
She has got a Netflix deal to make a series out of her self-published book.
So
that would be fabulous. I think this sounds like an incredible story. It sounds like you come from an incredible background of just such wonderful, talented, and sometimes
out of the box characters.
Out of the box kind of relatives.
Lots of rich Chicago
kinds of
history.
artists.
All kinds of artists. I like that. All kinds of artists.
I love the Chicago history. I would never change the family that I'm from, and I'm very proud of both sides. And I actually just go by Casscellina because I don't want anyone to even know the last name or kind of look into those things. So it's kind of like
it's your little secret, but now it's not.
It's my little secret, but I'll tell you, girls.
Well, thank you so much, Cass. You were a fascinating guest, which I didn't doubt.
Thank you so much.
So gifted. And again, we want to reiterate to everybody, check out from the description below, Anti-Art Fest, September 27th on a Saturday, starts at 8 o'clock. Going to be a fabulous event. Melissa and I will be there.
Yes.
I'll be projected on 90 feet of, walls and things with my profile and my eyeball going up. And there's a fabulous characters in this story. I can't tell you. I mean, I just saw some snippets of it because I'm in the first and the last scene, so I didn't get to see everything that you filmed in between, but I've seen pictures. The costumes off the chart fabulous.
Thank you.
The actors off the chart fabulous. I think it's going to be a really fun event. So I
Yes.
strongly encourage everybody to look into it. And again, thank you, Cassie, so much for being such a fabulous guest.
Thank you so much for having me. A unique fact about the show playing, the film playing at Antiques Art Show this year, September 27th, is that all of the costume design is by Antiques. So we leaned on designers from the first season to this season, and that's where you see all of the costumes curated from.
And they're fabulous.
Yeah, so very, very cool stuff.
Well, thank you so much, Dal.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Teddy, I have one more question for you.
What is that now, Melissa?
Why don't we dress for dinner anymore?
I don't know, Melissa. Why don't we?
Beats me.